very poor scanning of the environment. It's a very poor, what would I say, ability to predict what changes are going to occur. And I think, again, I bring this context into play, that if we had realized at that point of time that we needed to invest in manufacturing, that we could have borrowed more money and seen that we could have expanded our business, and also exports. Because we were manufacturing products, which, as I said, were these typical Bhelpuri products. A lot of countries which had enacted legislation where it was not possible now to market those products. In 1955, friends, Unichem was the first company to get an export award in India for having marketed its products on its own in Southeast Asia, whether it was Bangkok, whether it was Thailand, whether it was Malaysia. But all these products, it was difficult to justify clinically, as the world wanted more and more logical information and understand as to why the two ingredients need to be combined, not necessarily because empirically it was good. And that's where, with the plants not getting approval, we missed that opportunity. So clearly then the situation which came was, we missed on opportunities while pursuing somewhat esoteric products. Esoteric products because basically now, at that time we felt that we knew everything there is to know. And we also felt that it was possible to guide the medical profession to make us think the way we want. Whether it was meaningful to them or not was a secondary issue. One more example I'll give you. We were the earliest in those days to find that metronidazole, which is used as your flagell or something, as an intravenous product, is actually very good for anaerobes. My father was the first one actually to fund that research in 1974, and Lancet actually came out with a whole article. But he decided that no, we need to put glucose in it, and therefore it's always better to give glucose along with metronidazole. Little realizing that there are diabetics who can't take glucose. The investment which would be required to put such a plant in would be in crores. We were very timid about that. So the opportunity got taken by somebody else, which was JB Chemicals, which has made Metrogel into such a large product. So I think the point is that even if you have a good idea, you need a good team who will buy into it and who will make sure that that idea gets implemented. So I think as a leader, it's just not enough to be just a visionary, but you need to create an environment where people believe that what you're doing makes a lot of sense. Anyway, we trudged along, and then came the issue when we really got knocked on the head. And this was in 1988, where one of our products, which was contributing to a large amount of our profits, got banned. And it got banned because the government of India felt that it was not being used rationally. What was that product? That product in those days was a tablet which a woman took if she missed her period. And if the woman got her period, it was recognized that there was no pregnancy. Otherwise, the woman had to take whatever steps had to be taken. There were some articles which said that there was 1 in 10,000 cases of somebody developing any kind of teratological effects, which means the child could be born, would be either deformed or something like that. And we tried our best for many years to explain to people, it didn't work. One day the product got banned. Suddenly 80% of the company's profit disappeared. And again this shows one thing, dependence on one product and not able to make sure that you have something going for you in terms of a backup is where you can land into trouble. So the loss of BP4 due to this regulatory issue, by that time my father's style and leadership had already got a little out of sync, because now he had thought that I now need to only contribute to the nation. So we decided to put up, which was a great idea, we decided to put up a protein extruded plant where we said that we will now make snacks and try, instead of giving just pure taste, also nutrition. The same thing is today given to US Kurkure. But that was 1988 and we are 2012. So sometimes the prophet doesn't get recognized in his own time. But I think the issue which was still bigger was we used the same pharmaceutical infrastructure rather than marketing it as a pure OTC product. Again, timid of investment, conservatism, and no money to really be able to back this up. So, and with this, of course, with this increasing divergence, dynamic reality and outdated business model, obviously the only thing we could have done was to close shop. And how we didn't close shop? What was the reason for that? And what gave us the courage to possibly bounce back? I would say this was only one thing, and that is Unichem's reputation in the doctor's eyes has never taken a hit. It was our inability to extract business out of the people. It was not that the doctors ever felt that this was something which they were actually asking, that why is Unichem not as aggressive a company as it was earlier. So really, when me and my colleague, and I have to here take a side to mention about a couple of my colleagues, when I was completely confused and not knowing, as they say in Gujarati, ke jare abad fate, tare tumhe thingda na mani shako. You have to think in terms of a totally different way of doing things. I was very privileged that the person who is the living spirit of Ahmedabad University, Praful Anubhai, had already joined the Unichem board at that time, and for some reason decided to become my supporter. I've still not figured out what he saw in me, but anyway, that was another point. And also, another colleague of mine, who was actually a general manager of one of our plants, and I was part of this whole, shall we say, palace intrigues and all the subterfuge which was taking place. I needed to bring somebody who would possibly allow me to kind of think rationally and find what way we needed to go. So this became a kind of, and of course our very, very close friend, our chartered accountant, was part of the family ever since the time we started doing all this. 3 of us or 4 of us got together and put our heads together and said, what do we really need to do? And do we have the courage to do it, and is it possible for us to do it? So we actually said that we have to grasp the bull by the horns. One of the first things was that the plants which we had in Bombay, you had highly overpaid labor. In those days, labor was not like today that you can hire and fire relatively. You had huge union issues. So we had to basically close Bombay. We had to make sure that we would be able to set up plants which could face international scrutiny. Because one of the things my colleague Mr. B.K. Sharma taught me, he says, sir, in clothes you can have seconds. In health there cannot be any seconds. So we cannot have a situation wherein you say the Indian public can be treated through a manufacturing plant which is not of the standard of what an American would be treated. And one thing we said, that we will rather go down than sacrifice certain these values. And that, to my mind, was some of those rallying points which really helped us to build back. And then we had to go to areas which were tax efficient. So we had to put up a facility in Goa, we had to put up another facility in Baddi. I literally joked to my shareholders and said, even if I have to go to the Arabian Sea, I will if I can save a rupee. Because today, we just need to make sure that we can really sort of be able to, marshal our resources in a way possible. I still remember my relations with Bank of India in those days. 26 crores we took by way of loan. The country didn't have the money to pay the VRS off to the workers. And what was great, my friends, and I really feel proud to tell you this, more than 3/4 of those workers came back and invested the money which we gave to them as a way of separation back as a deposit in the company, which I think was something which was very, very, highly appreciated. Thanks to the laws now, we have to return everybody's money, which we have done, but the fact of the matter was that was what it was. So we had to completely, I had to dismantle this entire Kaka Mama culture. I had to bring in the professionals. The professionals came with their own bag of tricks. So everybody thought that what he had learned in his previous company was the right way to go. So it was quite a challenge to be able to do that. On the other side, I had an aging father who had thought I've completely gone mad, because these kind of investments were never seen. What we invested, my friends, from I think 1990 to 2000, friends, has been more than the investment put in by the company in the last 60 years. Okay? And the capital base which we built up today crosses 1,000 crores. And all this has been done in this short period when we realized what we need to do. So we focused on developing and articulating and executing our future strategy. Internationally, we did have to play a catch-up game, because by that time the Ranbaxys and the Reddys and the Sons had kind of moved in a stratosphere which was just making us to catch up. And at the same time, I still remember when my first plant was built in Baddi, and I went with my colleague Mr. P.K. Sharma to a company in the UK to say, sir, we have this facility which is now internationally approvable. Why don't you please help us by giving your product so we could manufacture and then you could market it? And I still remember this man, Harold Bells, telling me, Dr. Modi, you are the 100th person come from India asking me for my favor. Why should I give it to you? I said, Mr. Mills, a time will come when you will come to me for a job. But today is your day. I'm listening to what you are saying. And believe me, friends, within 5 years, he applied twice for a job in my place. So we had to make this mindset changes, friends. We had to go international. We had to build plants which were world class. We had to build up a research center. I'm really proud to say we've just shifted one to Goa. It's 200,000 square feet with, I don't know, about 250, 300 scientists working. All of this, I think we were just able to do because we had courage and conviction in ourselves. We knew that there was an opportunity. It's not that the market had treated us badly, it's that we had not extracted what we could out of it. And, therefore, I think the learning for me has been, the longer the delay in facing reality, the greater the pain of adjustment. The obsession of relatives, okay? I think it's a very famous saying in Gujarati, Saga wala nati, wala saga nati. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's not that it's something which is negative, but if you have different agendas, it doesn't work. And there are times when there is no room for a mistake. It is make or break. I can relate so many instances where we just had to work with the edge of our seats, and we just didn't know whether this is going to take us anywhere or not. When we built our first plant, as I told you, we had to go running to try to get business. Today I'm not able to supply the amount of demand. After having now 7 manufacturing facilities, all internationally approved and reapproved, US, Japan, Brazil, any country you can think of, now being present in more than 40 countries and having more than 45 or 50% of the business coming from outside India. So clearly we got with this a confidence in our ability to build new plants. We could see that